Y'all, it's your girl Gemini Jazz, and we are back with another video. And today we are going to be discussing Chiron through all 12 zodiac signs. Okay, so first and foremost, before we dive into all of this good stuff about Chiron, because we have lots of things to discuss when it comes to Chiron. It's such a deep and mysterious energy to kind of navigate. Okay, but before we get into all of that, I'd just like to say thank you for being here. If you are new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you for being here. I hope things have been going well on your end and all that good stuff. And I don't have any announcements outside of what I always, kind of suggest. But if you are looking to dive more into what we're going to talk about in this video and get readings or more insight individually on your chart, hit the description box below because I have all of my contact information, my website, my social platforms, so on and so forth. And you can access me and all of my services, including my membership, the Celestial City, that is only $33.33 per month, as well as the readings that I have available at this time. Okay, so now let's dive into this video about Chiron in the signs. So Chiron, what is Chiron, right? Chiron is an asteroid, and we all know about that, right? It's an asteroid, it's not a planet, and it's often referred to as the wounded healer, right? Chiron is connected to our deepest wounds, right? The knowledge and also the healing that comes along with that. So, the self-healers, we all have that ability to heal ourselves. We all have the ability to know what these wounds and whatnot are stemming from. We just have to tap in. So Chiron is utilized in astrology to show us where our emotional baggage is, so to speak. So the lesson that Chiron evolves basically is the ways that we recognize and deal with our deepest wounds, right? Or sometimes how we don't deal with our deepest wounds. And a lot of that comes from our earliest encounters with life, with people, our relating experiences, right? Memories and things that are taught to be hidden, right? Because they are basically deemed unpleasant or not good or harmful or painful. And so therefore they must then be unacceptable. And so because of these energies, this is where emotions like guilt and shame, abandonment, low self-esteem, low self-worth, fears about being rejected, unworthiness, all of these things come into play because of how society deems certain emotions and certain encounters with life to be unacceptable. Now, wherever Chiron falls in our birth chart, preferably by sign, right? First and foremost, you got to recognize the sign, which is why this video is here. So recognize what sign Chiron is, and then you take into account the house placement. Where is Chiron in your house? Like with the first house, second house, eighth house, wherever, because then that gives it a different flavor to what's happening with Chiron being in, just say, Aries, or Chiron in Virgo, so on and so forth. So once you take into account the sign, as well as the house placement, then you have to pay attention to the aspects that it forms with other planets and other houses and whatnot in your chart. So you can recognize by seeing all these things, the area in which we feel vulnerable or quote unquote weak, or these things that might really evoke feelings of low self-esteem and low self-worth that we were previously speaking about. Okay, so Chiron's placement, in turn, what it does is it shines a light on our past hurts, our wounds, things, even such as like childhood trauma, all of those experiences, those ill experiences, from previous, things, even maybe in past life type of situations, depending on where it falls in your chart, right? So this is what we like to call emotional baggage, right? So this is what it's doing is shining a light, so to speak, or revealing, how our repeated interactions with others or with the world, with the world, so to speak, will provoke our insecurities, and maybe even, what we deem as being failures. So there's also an option, right? This is where that quote unquote free will comes in, because although it's revealing it, we still have to make a choice to see it, right? So that's kind of where that line goes in between that Chiron energy. Chiron's purpose is to make us realize that our weak spots are not feelings that we can erase or disregard, rather than they are something that need to be embraced. They cannot necessarily be denied, right? We cannot just say, this terrible thing that I feel about myself needs to be ignored, because it only amplifies more of that emotion, more of that feeling, right? So let's think of it this way. Take peekaboo, the game peekaboo, for example. Just because you're covering your eyes, it does not mean the person or the thing on the other side of your hand does not exist. You're simply choosing not to see it. So that's the way that we can see Chiron. Chiron gives us an opportunity to recognize that there's something still on the other side of what we can't see. We have to literally just make the choice to pull our hands down and say, I see this for what this is. Now, what are we going to do about it? Facing your fears, facing those insecurities and those feelings of guilt and shame and whatnot. Okay, so if we forget the experience, right, this is how we think. If we forget the experience itself, then our bodies and minds will forget it also. No, that's not the truth, right? Our bodies and minds will still contain that feeling, right, as a sensory or a trace memory. And if you have not read the book, The Body Holds the Number, it goes into more detail about this on a psychological aspect of things, okay? So now, how do we use Chiron for our growth and our gain, right? So all these feelings of shame and guilt and all these low vibrational emotions that we're speaking about, right? But how can we in turn transmute that energy and turn the pain into purpose, right? And making that purpose, or making that all of that lucrative for us and even pleasurable, right? So Chiron's cycle of reoccurrence, basically, Chiron, what it does in turn, it creates these situations, right, in life, these circumstances in life that's going to trigger us. But in turn, the reward comes from Chiron when we learn to integrate our painful experiences, allowing these triggers to invite us to navigate why we're being triggered, where this is stemming from, how can we grow through this, right? And integrate these experiences as a part of our identities, right? So this is turning that pain into purpose and also pleasure. Right. So, but keep in mind that as long as we continue to view these imperfections that need to be removed or purged from us, then we'll continue to see them as flaws in others as well as ourselves, right? Because it's all about mirroring. Every situation and every person in our life is mirroring some aspect of ourselves, right? So, this is going to continue to impact our capacity for relationships and mutual understanding of others if we continue to see Chiron, or continue to see our wounds or these feelings that we have, our insecurities, as flaws, so to speak, okay, instead of using them to empower us to actually help heal other people. So now, without further ado, let's start navigating Chiron through the signs. Friends, so today we are going to navigate Chiron in Sagittarius. Okay, so this is the belief system wound, is what I like to call it. So this is a person that is great at understanding, or even kind of like putting the dots together in other people's brains, but having a trouble to connect to their higher self, their own motivations and their own beliefs. Okay, so when you think about what Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. It's also ruled by Neptune. Kind of whatever. Back in the day, Jupiter ruled Neptune, so I had that backwards. Either way, this is a placement that is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the great philosopher. This is also about, not only your belief systems, but your life path, your purpose, where it is that you are destined to go, right? Where's your higher connection? And so Sagittarius and Jupiter are the philosophers, but it also has a lot to do with psychology and education. So there's a strong desire to find or fulfill a spiritual path. And this placement often has a or people with this placement often have like a parent or someone that's in like a close relationship to them that force religion or force some other belief through aggression. A lot of the times this individual grows up and does not even subscribe to the indoctrinated beliefs of their childhood. They go completely a different route, may even become like atheists or something along those lines, right? Because it's like that rebellious spirit or that rebellious energy as well. Also, this may manifest in learning disabilities or trouble completing higher education studies. You might see that as well. You will even see people with this placement having a fear to relocate, fly on a plane, or travel any kind of way, as there's some type of indication of an accident in foreign lands. And so these people in turn can heal by helping others relocate, right? Travel agents, they can help them travel, or maybe even helping with legal or educational matters, right? So you'll see travel agents, real estate agents, professors, excuse me, mentors, gurus, things of that nature with displacement. Okay. Now, with Chiron being in Sagittarius, the wound is your belief system, right? It's your beliefs, your sense of meaning in this life. And that may manifest in feeling that life is meaningless and pointless, that you have no belief or no higher power, or no power in general, right? Like you're just very powerless. This also can manifest in a fear of open spaces or having no clear boundaries, to certain things, like no clear boundaries or limits when it comes to your life. Also, this might be a person where you fear that you'll never understand life or find the answers to the many questions that you have. And that might actually like stifle your ability to go out and seek adventure or take risks on the things that you want, right? Or even getting on path to what it is that you're destined to do. So you may avoid deep thinking about nature's, the natural aspect of life. You may avoid deep thinking about like psychology or anything of that nature, maybe even about your mind, and avoid school altogether, any type of education. So these people also rely on others for answers. Although the answers lie within all of us and the answers are within them, they have the answers, they still don't have that confidence to rely on others, to rely on themselves, but in turn, they rely on others for those answers. And they may gather information from outside sources, right? So whether it be, online research or going to school or talking to someone that has more experience, and they may gather this information and it might be valid and useful information, but they don't make sense of it. They don't know how to use it. They don't know how to embody it. And so they also have a tendency to take things at face value, and they may even become like dogmatic in their beliefs and in their approach to things, in their fundamentals of like life and whatnot. So that also might be something as well that you can recognize. Like they may take on like the fundamentalist approach to religion, so to speak, and not even taking into account that there might be other areas, conceptually about belief systems and other ways of being, right? So these people also may have a tendency to avoid change or even adventure. They may have like a fear of that. So they might not even tap into that zest of life, that Jupiter energy of feeling abundant, having many opportunities. And they might feel like they are just kind of doomed in essence, right? And these people might even become obsessed with taking risks alternatively, right? So either they won't take any risks or they are obsessed with taking risks. So you'll see these people just doing all types of daring acts, these are the people that do like the daredevil type of scenarios and whatnot. And they are really just seeking their freedom at any cost, because somewhere in their life, they were denied that freedom of expression, that freedom of being, the freedom to adapt to whatever belief that they desired at that time. So people with displacement, their healing journey involves, the search for meaning by transforming the way that they think and what they believe, right? Their gift is to see life as a great adventure, right? Being able to explore and being able to go along with the changes, right? Their search for meaning or the larger plan, the bigger picture of things is really a search for themselves, their higher selves, right? Their bigger selves. So by looking for the answers, these people will tend to, begin to discover their own innate wisdom and their own understanding of things. And then, embracing that as it is, as being true and valid. Now, as long as they maintain an open-hearted attitude towards life and towards their experiences, they can develop that great wisdom and joy that the philosopher, right, Sagittarius has. And when you push beyond those old limiting boundaries and beliefs, and you embark on the quest of discovering yourself and discovery in general, these people will be able to be rewarded with a vision of life that is inherently divine, like they can actually live in spirit kind of thing, right? So by tapping into the idea or tapping into the belief that life is a great adventure, and no matter what you actually do, no matter what you do for a living, no matter what your experiences are, life is an adventure, and this is just your own adventure, and you can make it to be whatever you desire it to be. That is the key for Chiron in Sagittarius. All right, so that is all that I have for this reading, this video. And if you are looking for a reading, hit that description box below and we can navigate your Chiron placement and all of your other aspects to your chart. If you are looking to join the membership, that information is found also, as well as the Chiron Reiki infused candles. Okay, so thank you all for tuning in. I look forward to connecting with you. Have a good one.